Ừ.
Abraham, we can't seem to hear you. Maybe it, we can see the presentation, but we can't hear what maybe if you're speaking.
Oh, we can't hear.
Now we can hear you, but if is it? Uh, oh, Abraham.
Sorry, we still can't hear.
So maybe Abraham, you can leave and rejoin the meeting so that you see whether that issue about the microphone will be sorted out. I saw there are some other people that are within the same meeting that were experiencing the same.
So welcome all again for this particular session. And as indicated before, in as much as I know you couldn't hear, is that in this particular session will be, as per the introduction, we'll be looking at how AI and data is shaping, our futures in regards to our way of life, that's and including from the industry perspective as well. So we had the introduction of a predictive analytics lab, and we train and certify data scientists and those involved in AI. We also do some elements of data strategy and build softwares as well. My name is Abraham Mayo, and I'm holder of a BSc in Actuarial Science, as well as have a postgraduate diploma in insurance. This, I must say, has built a strong foundation for me to crack data issues, as well as get the deep understanding, at least from the industry perspective. I train with Predictive Analytics Lab as a data analytics trainer. And at the moment also, I serve as a senior business analyst with an organization called Axis Systems. So basically building insurance systems, that is it. And I'm happy to have you, or rather we are happy to have you. And for today, we'll be looking at the current age that we are in, the age of AI, how it's transforming various sectors. What are the foundations? What do we need to do? What are the global innovations that are currently going on that we need to adapt? What are the opportunities for us? And more importantly, what skills do we need then for us to be able to adapt to this current age? So without further much ado, for the first part, we'll explore how AI and data analytics are reshaping key sectors and amplifying what I must say human capabilities. We'll also address the myths, the common myths, that our jobs probably are being replaced, and how we can address this then, or highlight the true impact when it comes to the workforce. So this is the age that we are in. And by its own definitions, we've been able to see a shift where intelligence and analytics drive innovations. This has led to what I would call high efficiencies, AI-powered innovations, which learn and adapt, and therefore improving productivity in a number of industries. How personalization uses data insights, tailor experiences to meet our needs, while accelerated innovation powered by big data is able to enable smart business decisions. The age of AI refers, as indicated, an era where we are in, and AI and data-driven decision making reshape economies and societies. It enables us to have personalized experiences as well as accelerated innovations. As indicated, I would give a case example of, for example, the targeted marketing. Now, based on the clicks that we do on the various websites, then, and even our speech, when we engage in our households, AI is able to pick our conversations, and at the end of the day, when you try to access the internet, then you're able to get those particular items. That speaks to the level of personalization where we are in. So assuming you have a conversation like you need a certain kind of sofa, for example, or you need to replace your TV set. So at the end of the day, when you try to access the internet, then you are able to receive such kind of targeted marketing, I would call so. And you would try to explore if there are options regarding to that particular aspect for you to be able to purchase. Initially going back to the history, you could think of the barter trade. You go to the market with your grains, with your something that you've gotten out of the farm, really with the intention of buying something, but you don't know exactly what that thing would look like. The idea is, so if you have some grains, you would want to purchase, let's say, a goat. When you get there through exchange, that is, but you don't know how that goat would look like. Probably you would only have a visual of the color. But now, given that particular, the age that we are in, you are able to do window shopping via the internet. And you are able to drill down and say, this is something that I want. You make that particular purchase. So this, as I indicated, has enabled what we call personalized experiences, which is key. And personally, I like it. I don't know about you, what is your key takeaway on that? Is it something that you would like? Is it something that you would want to consider going back to the age of barter trade? Okay, so that's it, defining that particular age. The next part, we are going to look at how this then is transforming various sectors. So just an highlight, when it comes to farming, we all learned at some point about the agrarian revolution, how people moved from using the various tools, the hand tools, now to being able to use, let's say, ox and all that. Then there was a shift to use of tractors and machines. So, and now we are talking about another level where we have now the AI and analytics. As a farmer, and majority of us, I know we've done some farming at some point, think of being able to plant or have your seeds in the seed bed, and over and above that, you would want to transfer, or rather transplanting into the farms. And someone who does that is not human. So these are robots. The robots are able to water the seedlings, over and above that, do the transplantation, over and above that, manage the weeds. Think of all that process being managed by robots, including harvesting. So you could have a scenario where you have fruits, could be your tomatoes or even vegetables, then being harvested by machines. You could have your cows and being milked by machines, tracking their temperatures, their health status, their level of activity, and tell you if there is any need, for example, for you to take an action. Okay, so that's it in regards to farming. And it has helped us also to revolutionize what I would call the healthcare diagnostics, optimize the financial services, as well as personalized education. So we would be able to look at this more in detail as we go. But bear in mind that each and every industry has had, or rather AI has had an impact on each and every industry, if I must say so, except of course those who we would call the blue collar jobs. And thinking of the future, we'll dwell again on this, is that probably are these things that we need to consider, or we need to do something else besides the blue collar jobs. And this takes me to the next part, where we're mentioning, will AI steal our job? What do you think of that? So you could have a farmer. So I like using the experience of a farmer. So you no longer do this, the transplantation. You no longer do the weeding. Harvesting is done by robots. milking cows, I remember those times. Our moms and probably our parents could wake up at 4 or 5 there to go and milk cows. But this is no longer the case as we go into the future. This is something that can be done by machines. Do we then say that AI will steal our jobs? That's a question to think about. And there are so many discussions around this particular space. And if you go to the internet just to look at the AI or the big companies like the Amazon and let's say Google, Microsoft, and so forth, there are layoffs. And you could see, or rather you can be able to see that there are massive layoffs. And that tells you something in terms of the job opportunities. And if you look at it from another angle, is that news picks up, let's say, the negative side of things. If you try to analyze and see indeed the net, if there is an increase or decrease in terms of net of job opportunities, you might be able to get another picture, because we are aware that other jobs are being created in as much as some are being taken away. And during transition, when you are transitioning from one era to another in terms of revolution, then there usually some fight back, and probably this is what we are experiencing. One key thing is that for this particular instance, we find that there is no much fight back as opposed to the previous revolutions. So when you think around this particular space, AI and analytics enhance what we have. So think of a farmer that I had used as an example. This farmer would not, you remember the akili peleka the same mjini and nguvu peleka kijijini. So the nguvu peleka kijijini now, I believe, would try to become something else, because farmers would be farm managers and not the farmers that we used to know, the farmers that use a lot of energy, spend the entire day just to dig or perform the first cultivation. So that would transform. And over and above that, there are some things. For example, these machines would need to be fixed. I talked about the blue collar jobs, and fixing machines, the robots, they cannot fix themselves, and those jobs will continue to be there. Something else like, managing quick coffee orders. So if you order some coffee and you need to be delivered to, and there's an avalanche of that, it might not be able to manage that. So AI has some limitations in the first place, and humans would continue to dominate on that. Then I talked about the new roles that are being created, like the AI atheist. We have the data scientist. Talking of data scientists, this is a job that in the early 2000s, you couldn't be able to have one, but it has developed as we get to post-COVID. We have the machine learning, and we're going to look at this, probably a further discussion of that, and how we are looking at AI going into the future is that it would be able to collaborate or have machines and humans collaborating, so to boost what I would term then as the productivity and innovation. So this is a key element, and people talk about the cobots. So a co-worker, cobot, so you and the machines working together. So think about that. So collaboration as well as not with a fellow human, but with machines. So having understood these aspects, whether we are going to lose our jobs, the foundation, or how at the moment the industry is, in terms of data and AI, those are the current happenings. But then what are the foundations? So, because if we don't understand the foundation, then we get to lose track. Okay, the key thing, even when you are starting a lecture or a class, it's always good to begin with the definitions, just for students to understand what the foundation is. Because if I understand what those initial definitions are, there are high chances then that I would be able to understand the subject more. There's high chances that I would be able to pass that exam if there is an exam. Okay, so we will be able to cover the key concepts underpinning AI and analytics, the types of analytics commonly used, and how the integration drives evidence-based innovations across various industries or domains. So what is data and what is AI? Why do we talk about data and AI in the same sentence? So data forms the foundation of AI. And for us, we need to know what data is and how this then is driving AI. Data, I would say, are raw facts. It's a fact. Okay. So if you sell an item, okay, you sell your groceries, you sell an old item that you no longer need to use, that price, be it 2,000 Kenyan shillings, that remains to be data. When you try to give data some meaning, okay, probably through analysis, and say probably last year it made a total sales of 2 million. And this year, this has increased to 2.4, probably sales increased by 15%. So that changes from being data to information. So it becomes information. Over and above that, we also need to understand data more. So data can be qualitative, something like customer feedback. And this could be filled through the questionnaires, the forms that you fill. I'm aware probably before joining this class or this webinar, you were being asked, what would you want to learn? That's some form of feedback, and that is qualitative. For the cases where you have, the daily sales, the temperature readings, or the premium amounts, that is if you are in insurance industry, or even the class scores, the marks that you get, those forms what we call quantitative. It's numeric in a way. Just for us to understand data more, is that they are what we call the primary sources. And this is something that you have, and it could be something from, let's say, your databases. It could be from surveys, name them, that's something that you already have. Then we have secondary sources as well. So this is something that you don't have and you would want to get. So probably over the internet or something like market reports you could read. If you are from certain industry, for example, banking, I know CBK, they release their reports probably on monthly basis. If you are in insurance, then we have the IRA reports. If you are in education, probably the Ministry of Education or Higher Learning produce some reports. So those are some of the things that you don't have. More so when you want to do what I would call the competitor analysis. So you don't have data that belongs to your competitor, and this is something that you would want to source. Those are what we call the secondary sources. Talking about the structure, the structure of data is that it could be structured or unstructured. Structured is something like the tables, the one that I've talked about in terms of the scores, and there are those that are unstructured. By the way, images, videos, all that forms part of data, and it belongs to a portion that we call the unstructured, because you cannot just analyze by just, let's say, adding or performing some summary statistics, something like that. Over and above that, of course, there are those that are semi-structured, like the JSON logs, okay? So why I'm talking about this is because of the benefit of understanding where we are coming from. A strong data foundation ensures that then we are able to understand this, but over and above that, when we do our analysis, when we learn about AI, then it will give us a strong foundation, which I've indicated, but then it will ensure accuracy, consistency, then that will support those business decisions. It's good also to understand, having understood what data is, then the various types of analysis that we have. So we have 4 or less types of analytics. The first one is descriptive analytics. It summarizes events, and at the end of every month in most organizations, you run some what I would call monthly reports, and this would form part and parcel of the descriptive analytics. You're just trying to understand the historical data and the patterns. I've given a case example of monthly reports. Having described your data based on the historical events, then you'd want to understand why certain things happened. Why, for example, in 2024, there was a downward trend in, let's say, revenue. Then you would want to attribute this to something like the Gen Z protest, assuming your business was in CBD, Nairobi CBD, or why your business came down in probably 2020 thereabout. You'd want to attribute that to something like COVID. You're just basically trying to get reasons why something happened. And that falls under what we call the diagnostic analytics. Having understood what happened, why it happened, okay? So you would want to go ahead now and say what will happen, and that way you would come to the predictive analytics. Okay, you use the historical information and current data to forecast the future outcomes. There are those who can tell us probably that the next pandemic would be in year so and so. Okay, and you're able to prepare adequately for that. There are those shocks like the 2019, COVID 2019, which had huge business impact in 2020 and 2021. There is the 2008 shocks that we got as well from the financial crisis. Those are some of the shocks that probably data might not be able to tell us using the historical information, but with models, which we are going to talk about, is that you are able to predict, of course, given some data. Having understood what will happen, it's not enough just to stay there unless there's an issue. As human beings, we always try to find solutions, and that's why in that aspect of trying to find a solution, it falls under what we call prescriptive analytics. So you want to prescribe, so if this happens, what do we need to do? If risk A happens, if indeed what we've predicted would happen, what will we need to do? So if, for example, certain customers, so you've forecasted this, given this example. So you have a customer churn, basically customers leaving your organization based on the past behavior and market trends. Then you would want to suggest something, for example, the personalized product recommendations. So this is something that you would do. So if you've realized that in your institution, there are some courses which has observed, let's say, a downward trend in terms of uptick, then do we need to somehow change that? Would we need to phase out or introduce some modules within the course? So that forms what we call prescriptive, basically coming up with solutions. And those are the types of data that we have, okay? And having understood that, so as mentioned before, it forms the foundation, and that way you'll be able to drive this basically from the past now to action in terms of what do you need to do. Okay, you don't wait for risk to materialize for you to be able to, to take action. Of course, there are those risks that you might need to accommodate, but for this particular case, if there's a means in which you can have those risks mitigated, then you can offer those solutions. And believe that is it for that foundation. And now we go ahead with how this then is driving. Let me. Okay. How this is driving now the AI. Okay. So AI enhances analytics by automating the insights, extraction, as well as driving intelligent recommendations. So it's able to pick that data and it will be able to drive the intelligent recommendations. So enabling organizations or institutions to innovate based on reliable data. So if your data is not reliable, then you might not be able to perform some of these complex analysis. What is happening globally is that these large reasoning models, and so we could talk of the ChatGPT and all that, where you are able to chat, basically the language processing. But now we are seeing also the rise of agentic automation powered by open source frameworks. So we'll be able to have a quick look at this. So if you are using ChatGPT, for example, you are able to see the version. And if for the unpaid one, I believe it's around 4 point something. But for the paid versions, you are able to see this, the ChatGPT 0.5. For those using cloud, you are able to see the 3.5. So it goes beyond the text generation, okay, to deeper understanding, the logical reasoning, as well as domain-specific insights. At the moment, I would give a case example of my current job, and luckily enough, my boss, I know is not listening. So a job that I could handle 2 years ago, let's say in a week. Nowadays, I handle it within some less than 6 hours. And that gives me room, to do many things or accomplish more stuff that I could before. So that speaks to the advantage of AI. At the moment, it just goes deeper to understand, and even based on your history, then it will be able to give you more accurate results. So I talked about the natural language understanding, and you could speak to a machine and it gives you the exact result. So it's able to analyze your speech. It's able to analyze long, complex data, be it images or speech. It's able to explain their reasoning as well and handle various inputs, not just text and images, even videos, it can be able to handle that. So this advancement makes AI more reliable for analytics, planning, as well as decision support across various sectors. I don't know which AI tool you use at the moment. Is it ChatGPT, the Gemini, Cloud, or even the Microsoft Copilot? If time allows, we can just look at an example of Copilot in action, and you'll be marveled with how things are moving so fast. Okay, over and above the advancement in reasoning models. So with the ChatGPT, if you click there, then it gives you, under the versions, you are able to click and see and select the one that the model that drives and reasons like a human being. Initially, it could just use the historical data, but now we are having these advancements. So something else is when it comes to the multimodal AI. So multimodal would mean basically it integrates. So you could do a text, you could do an image, but now you are able to integrate all that. So just enabling more holistic understanding and interaction. So you could attach an image to, let's say, Gemini or ChatGPT and give more context. Say, probably analyze this image, extract text from this image, and you're able to do more out of that. So it combines all that, and you're able to do more. This couldn't have been possible without this, what we call the open AI frameworks. So I was watching a documentary on why Apple is late, and probably Apple might be phased out in the competition or when it comes to AI competition. Reason being is that their development is closed. And if you look at the age of AI, or rather the competition that we have at the moment, is ChatGPT came under OpenAI. So Microsoft purchased it. We have Gemini by Google, though late, but it's better in terms of coming in than Apple. So with Gemini, they use the open source. So the open source framework like the LangChain and Llama Index are driving these innovations. If you get a case example of closed frameworks like the one that we have for Apple, then it inhibits that. So open source basically means that the developers are able to access this and even contribute. For the closed, then you need some certain permissions, and you might not be able to contribute to that. So open source, the key advantage of it is that it lowers barriers and therefore advancing the AI. Okay, so having understood that, we look at now the deeper dive. So we've built the foundation, understood how data is driving this. We've seen other elements like the open source frameworks, how it's driving AI and innovations. We had also looked at a few sketch, especially using my favorite farmer, on how they're able to utilize AI in transforming various industries. We can just look at a deeper dive on across various industries, how AI is improving efficiency, accuracy, and innovation. So think of any industry. Which industry you are in? Is it finance, education? So AI, when it comes to finance, for example, there are those, if you've ever taken a loan, so you are given a certain interest, could be 12. I wonder whether you'll get a 12 at the moment in the market, or 16% thereabout. Now, this is based on largely your credit history, but over and above that, those frameworks that are there. So there is what the lender is borrowing against. So if the lender is borrowing that money at 10%, let's say from CBK or whichever institution, they would need to load just to cater for that particular risk. And that way, the way they do it is they just need to measure your credit worthiness rather than giving a blank rate of 15% or 16%. Then if you are a good customer, you repay your loans on time, then you need to be given a lower rate because your risk is low. So AI is helping to analyze that data and give accurate or more accurate credit scoring models that would improve and even encourage customers or loan takers to repay their loans on time. When it comes to fraud detection, there is this case of a guy from Meru, Mwabe, who tried to steal 11 million from Betika, if I'm not wrong. So the guy is smart and he tried his best, but somehow he got detected at some point. So, and that was now through the human intervention, but I believe this, he had gained a significant access to the system, but now assuming if AI was in place just to monitor those, how that could be. So I believe it could be more swift, but just to understand that when it comes to now the AI, how it functions is that it uses data. So you need to train your data, your tools, the agentic AI or any other tool that you're using, just to understand the patterns, how you log in, just to understand your processes, how you move from one particular point to the other, so that in case of any abnormality, then it will be able to swiftly check on that and ask you to, hey, you need to take an action. Let me give another example of claims automation. Sorry, I have a bias to the insurance because that's where I grew up in. And also AI has bias, by the way. So when you're training your model, so we've talked about AI utilizing data. So you train your AI tools using the data that you have. So if your data has some form of bias, then you might not be able to get accurate results. The same way I have some bias here. So when it comes to claims for the insurance industries, what happens is that there are those forms where you could be given, fill the forms, give it to your agent. The agent probably delivers them manually via, let's say, by road, and that could take around, let's say, 4 days or many more, especially when that particular person is in the branches and all that. But now, as we move towards AI, this is something that you can be able to do really within seconds, not again submitting the forms. Yes, you could fill the forms, upload into a tool, and that particular AI tool will be able to pick all the claims information and ask the insurance company to make a payout. So within seconds, you'll be able to receive your claims payout. You can imagine that. Or you are able to chat with the machine using the NLP. So you chat, hey, I need this. I've gotten a claim. This is the type. The machine asks you, when did it occur? Just asking you those, I would call the KYC questions, not KYC in terms of the policy, but in terms of claims. And over and above that, once it has processed all the information, then it will be able to make a payout. So you no longer need to wait for 4 days, 2 weeks, 3 months. You receive your claim payment instantly. Going over and above that, just trying to see various industries as well. So there is the soil analysis and analyzing weather as well. Talking about weather, this is interesting. Our grandfathers could predict probably that it would rain in the next 2 months, 1 month. And so you need to prepare, you cultivate your land, you need to harrow, you need to basically prepare. But as we moved with age, you realize that those predictions, they're no longer reliable as it used to be. So AI, every time I work with my phone, I am able to get an alert, probably to rain in the next 1 hour or something like that in your area. So you are able to get these weather predictions almost real time. Okay, and this is something which I believe we are all happy about. When it comes to crop yield, AI models, they're able to predict that. Okay, so given the inputs, or even besides the crops and also the animals, so you are able to monitor their status and all that. And at the end of the day, so instead of giving expected yield of, let's say, 20 liters of milk at the end of the day, you are able to more or less accurately predict that. Which industry is left out? Well, when it comes to education and learning, you can imagine a scenario where you go to a school instead of you going from class 1 or grade 1 to grade 7 or class 8, following all those particular steps. Then based on the interaction with machines at even, let's say, grade 1 or 2, able to tell you, hey, probably you are tailored for another grade and you need to move. But that would be a wild imagination. Allow me to look at more practical one. So you are in an institution, you are learning, and probably math is not your favorite subject. And based on the analysis, it's going to, the AI models, they are going to dig deeper into that and say, okay, you are good in algebra, but you are failing on, let's say, calculus. Hence, your tutor would be able to personalize that and probably give you more recommendations on learning and say you need to study more on calculus, of course, based on the output from the machines and all that. So that way it enhances. You no longer need to concentrate on everything, but you really need to focus on that particular subject, and over and above the subject, that particular area that you need to learn on. If there's a particular concept, it could be a concept, not even the entire, the entire topic, just a small part of it. Then it gives you more ways on how to understand that. There is a point, I believe some months ago, 2 or 3 months, I was engaging with our CEO, Mr. Oriedo, and he could, given certain inputs, so you are able to say, I want to learn data science. But do you have, probably the AI model will ask you, do you have, let's say, some foundation in math? You say no. So the recommendation at the end of the day would be, you need first to begin with math. Okay, you've done math, you understand data, and probably you've done 1 or 2 tools. You know Excel, you know Power BI, you know Python. Then if you know all that, are you able to probably crack certain code? You say yes or no. So given those inputs, it's able to give you a recommendation on what you need to do. Okay, and this is the way to go. So you're able to really learn on those specific items that you need to. There is no need of specializing in everything. Besides education, we have other sectors like the healthcare, so the disease detection. So unaumwa na kichwa and the first thing that you would guess is malaria. So because you don't have adequate funds, you go buy some malaria medicine, something like that. So that's what could happen. You have some headache and you say, okay, let me give it 1 or 2 days just to see how this is going. So for you to be able to take action. So AI, given inputs, so you'll be able to give your symptoms. So probably you're feeling headache, you have a certain rash in your skin, basically giving those signs and symptoms. And given data, because it has learned from data, then it will accurately tell you which condition that you are suffering from. This doesn't mean that probably it will replace doctors or nurses for that particular matter. The answer is no, because doctors would be able to now give you proper advice on which medication that you need to take based on those particular inputs or symptoms that you have. Okay, so we move on. There's something interesting that I watched yesterday. Can you think of AI tool being able to generate news and even air news? This is interesting. And there's a development you can research later on to call Sora, I believe in version 2. So it's able to generate real videos. I wouldn't call real, but something that happens here is it's hard to differentiate between real and fake. An example is this one. So just confirm if you can hear. Probably sometimes just confirm. Confirmation, just let me wait for a confirmation before proceeding. So confirm that. Okay, I believe you. Someone to unmute and confirm. Ted or Joel?
Hi, Abra.
Yes. Okay, thank you. You can listen to the video. So I hope you could see that, and sorry for the audio, but in your free time, you can look at the Sora version 2. So that's, you can just see, or that is that it's able to generate videos which it's hard to differentiate between fake and real. So that's AI to the next level, which I'm sure it's quite interesting. And how will we then tell between real and fake? Well, fascinating. And given that, the same platform, I could watch news, which for me, it was hard to differentiate between whether it's AI generated or the actual one. So according to the news, it's trending at the moment is it might rival TikTok, just to, it's quite interesting scene to check on that. Well, we've seen what happens with the Sora, Gemini, ChatGPT. What is it there for us then, as Kenyans, as Africans? Do we have an opportunity in this particular space of building data, AI, ecosystems, or we just wait to be consumers? Okay, so I believe there is an opportunity for us as Kenyans, as Africans, to be part and parcel of this revolution. Something interesting, we've talked about AI being developed from data. Actually, data drives AI. Something interesting, ChatGPT, the people who trained ChatGPT, majority of them are Kenyans. And there was a humor, or there was a meme that said the reasons why, if you do some essay, because there are those people who could get a living out of, generating essays and writing essays, that is it, for students abroad. If you write an essay, there's high chances it will be flagged as because it is considered AI generated. Reason being is ChatGPT, majority of those who train ChatGPT are Kenyans. So there is high chances that if you write an essay without using AI, then it will be flagged for that particular reason. It was a meme. I don't know how real it is. So we have an opportunity in that particular space just to, because we have the workforce for us to be able to train data, build our own data sets. Okay, there's a time when you speak, when you engage the NLP tools that we have, let's say the Siri, the Google Assistants, then there's a way if you indicate, probably I want this, then it might ask you to repeat. Reason being is it doesn't have the local data sets. So we have an opportunity to create and build local data sets just to ensure that the AI tools that we have addresses the specific needs and context that we are in, even understand our own language, something like that. There are those ethical or cultural issues. Okay, there's something that is probably not allowed or restricted in community A, allowed in B. So you can imagine asking AI, what do I need to do? Or the AI tool, you're chatting ChatGPT, what do I need to do when I'm faced with this particular challenge? And the AI tool recommends, for example, suicide or something like that. So those principles could be taken care of if we are able to build using our own data sets. Okay. What other opportunities do we have? We have an opportunity to invest in youth education. In most universities, we have the innovation hubs, the Chandari and KU, I know you in Rongo, you could have your own innovation hub. And with these innovation hubs, then we are able to drive more innovations. We are able to guide more so the young people to increase their knowledge on AI, just to develop their ideas as well as launch startups. We could have the community-driven projects as well. Okay, and youth, this is our greatest resource that we have as Kenya, as Africa. So this is a market that is considered the present and the future. The other markets are shrinking, but for us, it's growing because of this key resource that we have, which is our youth. So we need, more importantly, for us to be able to train on data, and over and above that, being able to assist our youth to launch their startups, never to give up on them. Okay, how do universities help us in this? So we've talked about being able to combine research, the incubation, the skills training. Now, allow me to talk more about the partnerships. So in the courses that we offer, let's say bachelor in education, does it have something to do with data and AI in it, or it's still the traditional education that we know? The key thing would be to partner with institutions like Predictive Analytics Lab, just to go through the curriculum to ensure that it is tailored towards the future by incorporating AI and data. That way, when students or learners come out of that particular program, then they would be ready to go. Okay. And more importantly, these efforts, the collaboration efforts, speaks to increasing the research quality as well as positioning ourselves as leaders in AI and sustainable innovation. Do you know that Kenyans, for example, were the ones leading in using ChatGPT, and we could see that in the news. So we are leading, and this way, it's something to be proud of. And this Sunday, after I went to church on Sunday, and towards the end, I met around 8-year-old. So he was interested with my phone. So I said, let me lock the pattern so that he couldn't be able to access. So what he could do is to just take photos and videos, because there is a place to access that without the need of password. Then at some point, he requested me to open. So I opened for him the phone and gave it to him. The thing that I expected is that he would go to look for a game. If he doesn't find, he goes to, let's say, Play Store, because I've seen someone do that, a young kid, and be able to download a game for his own, just to check. But something that surprised me is that he went to my phone, searched and found ChatGPT. He went to ChatGPT and started asking ChatGPT some questions. Wow, it was so fascinating to me. And that's the way to go. So we need to build this data and AI knowledge, from wherever space. There is no young, there is no old, for them to be able to adapt to these particular skills. And for the new technology, so for example, now we are using the natural language processing and even the text, and videos. Who knows about tomorrow? A new technology would come. Does it mean then that we stick to ChatGPT? The answer is no. If a new technology comes, like the one for Sora, for example, you need to explore that so that you keep up to pace. That transitions me to what the future holds for us. you can imagine of the future. Now, I'm told the future can only be imagined. When you imagine about the future, I had given a case example of the education program. If you think of yourself as a traditional teacher, so going to school probably from 8 to 4 p.m. thereabout, teaching from morning to evening. Is that the future? If you think yourself as a farmer, going to the farm using the handheld tools, if you have some cash, then you can hire some tractors. Is that the future? If you think yourself as a data analyst, you know how to code, so good at it in Python, R, name them. Is it the future just to know how to code? The answer is no. Reason being, all these things that we do at the moment, they can be done by machines within seconds. I told you of my job, for example, something that I could do in 1 week. Nowadays, I handle within six hours at most. But if I didn't learn how to prompt AI to give me that particular input, then it would mean that I would be phased out. So there's a famous quote that says, if machines or AI will not replace human beings, but it will replace those who don't learn the technologies. So it will not replace us, but it will replace those people who don't want to learn about the future skills, as well as the AI and tools that come up. So the future workforce will require a blend of the technological skills, ethics, and creativity for us to be able to collaborate with AI and harness its full potential for the benefits of the society. Envision tomorrow, this is something that we already seen happening. Talk of Konza, Tatu City. We are seeing the smart cities, okay? And it's powered by technology. You can watch, there's the guy called, is it Enoch Sekolia, doing some documentaries to do with, he calls himself Kenyan historian. So you can watch those documentaries about the Tatu City, the Konza City, and see how these elements that we are already experiencing that tomorrow already here in Kenya. So that's the future. So smart cities, smart homes, smart universities, everything will be smart. So the future promises rapid technological advancements. And the key thing that we talk about is going green. So environmental sustainability is becoming increasingly crucial as societies innovate to address the issues to do with climate change. There's some elements to do with global connectivity. I'm in Kenya, but I can work with someone in the US, with someone in Germany, and all that. Do you know that probably I don't need to learn French anymore to speak to someone from West Africa who is so good in French? Because these machines or the AI tools are able to translate that real time. Okay, so that's the tomorrow, or rather today and tomorrow. What we need to do, I've spoken to this, data literacy, understand data. It's good to understand this. Improve your coding skills. Just know the basics, okay? I'll give you a case example. If you don't know the basics, it would be hard for you to be able to utilize these tools. I was doing an analysis for a farm over the weekend. So I didn't really have time, and I needed to utilize the ChatGPT, and I prompted, I need some analysis of this particular column. Over and above that, visualize. I need to have a visual just for me to understand the distribution. What happened is, for the data, all those particular inputs, they fell almost within the same range. If you don't know that in the real world, then data doesn't need to fall within the same range, especially when you are talking about, you are expecting a normal distribution. So if you don't know those basics, then you'll be able to present that data to the decision makers and they will not be able to make accurate results. So you need to have that basic understanding for you to be able to utilize these tools. There are ethical considerations as well and fair use of these particular technologies. So just understand the ethics. Just because AI gives you a room to generate, let's say, videos which looks like real, it doesn't give you room to, let me use Trump, or what's the name of this guy from Facebook? No, you use those personalities that are well known to drive a certain agenda. Okay, because those videos would look real. When I talk about ethics, it always reminds me about the campaign periods. So you'd want to probably outdo your opponent when you're doing the campaigns and you create your opponent, saying something that is not probably good to the society, and that way you'll be able to sway your vote, the votes towards you. So those are some of the ethical considerations that we want to incorporate. So yes, we can be able to do it, but does it mean then that we need to do it? Another skill that we need, more importantly, is the critical thinking. Machines cannot be able to do this. So in order to address the complex challenges that we are experiencing, we need someone to think, if I get this result, does it mean this? Asking themselves the whys and all that. So you need the critical thinking. If there's a way you can train on critical thinking, be it learning chess, be it learning, doing the problem solving activities, like solving some math here and there, just to increase your critical thinking, that would be marvelous. So as I indicated before, all is not lost. There are a number of jobs that are coming up. We're already seeing the AI ethicists, people who guide us, just to monitor the tools that we have, ensure that whatever we are getting is, what we need. We have the data scientists, we have the machine learning engineers, AI research scientists. So before you could have some research scientists probably focusing on plants, but now you have someone who focuses on AI. You have robotic engineers. You could think of the machine breakdowns, but someone else is coming in place of that, called a robotic engineer. The data engineers, the NLP engineers, AI product managers. You could have product managers focusing on a specific industry, the banking, the insurance, education, name the manufacturing. But now you are having someone focus on AI. So these are some of the roles that are coming up, and we need to upskill in order to take them up. Tusingoje tuambiwe kazi haipo. So there are quite a number of jobs. What we just need to do is to learn continuously. So the key thing, it's always good to talk about ethics. I've mentioned this and I'm going to repeat because of the key elements. It's key element in terms of forming this. And so when it comes to the bias, whatever trains these are the algorithms or other data which forms the algorithms. And what would this inform is, if you need to build a public trust, then you need to incorporate as more data points as you can, just to address those biases and privacy issues. In the news, this comes to ethics as well. So yesterday, or the other day, I believe last week, Deloitte issues a refund for error-ridden Australian government report that uses AI. So when you are utilizing these tools, AI can make mistakes, and that's why you want to be replaced anytime soon, is that you need to review that. So if you need to acknowledge the source, if you need to just review that report before going out, then that's something that, as human, you need to do that. You are not giving everything to machines. You have a key role to play. There is AI blunder also, and this happened in the US court. So my PLC or Mike was given this particular fine of $3,000. How did they get caught? You can just check on that. Okay, so he used a court case. Now, remember, during the court submissions, you can refer to a case just to build or the former, the previous court rulings to build up on your case. So I believe this is what he did, but you can check on that. Human creativity will never be taken away. That's something that we have forever. Harnessing this and complementing with AI will empower us to achieve our development goals and foster innovation together with growth. In conclusion, so we've seen the integration of technologies, how we can focus that in Kenya as well as Africa and the future. So that's something that we've looked at. And by embracing these technologies thoughtfully, particularly for our case, we can unlock the potential for innovation, growth, and societal progress. So at that particular point, I would welcome us if there's any question and answer, or rather for any questions, then we can be able to answer. Asante sana. So as we wait for the questions, there's something that we didn't manage to do, that is doing it some practicals, and this way we can organize through predictive so that we can have some, if you want to learn the code, then we'll be able to prescribe you which course you need to take. If you just need to learn the prompting, then we can advise you as well. But if we can get probably some 1 or 2 minutes, then I can be able to showcase you a practical bit on how we use the AI tools to analyze data. So you can check that. Joel, I don't know if we can have some 5 minutes to look at a practical example. Just one.
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. So let me stop sharing this and find some data. So I hope you can see my screen. Great. So this data set that I retrieved from the internet is students' data. So it has some ID, the class, gender, race, I believe GPA. These are some of the courses, believe, measure, no, name them. So with AI, and this is Excel. So Microsoft, for example, and there are quite a number of tools, I'm just going to use this. You're able to probably click on analyze this data, and it analyzes you the data, and you can be able to have a look at this. So if you need average GPA by gender, then you can insert the pivot table like that. So that's the average age by gender. So I don't need to really know how to do the pivot tables and all that anymore, but it's good to have the understanding, as I indicated before. You can insert these statistics by race. We can insert the chart so we are able to see this. Okay, there are quite a number of things that you can do. Okay, show the 38 results. You can go down. Okay, this I can see a normal distribution here. So you can imagine you prompted AI and it's not showing something like this for data that you expect to be normally distributed. So it gives you a leeway to query the source. So I insist on that foundational understanding. You need to understand the basics for you to be able to utilize these tools. So you can see that we are able to analyze this data and insert just by clicking. Over and above that, we have the Copilot. Very interesting, you can chat. Now, let's analyze together. See? So you are able to chat and tell, hey, I need to know the average GPA. You can try to give more context, of course. So it's taking some time, but should be able to give us the results. So the more we go, we are able to get that, the average GPA. I'd seen a figure, but we can see and say, okay, show GPA by class. So the average GPA was 82.96, but now I want to dig in further to see by class. Okay, we can go ahead and let me see if there's a way I can full screen mode. Yeah, we're able to see it by class. So A, B, C, D like that. We can create a bar chart. We can analyze the gender, probably which gender. The highest. Totals are not the best. So those are some of the things that forms the foundation. When comparing two categories, it's always good to use the average GPA. For the female gender, as always, we've seen this from our national education outlook. So the gender with the highest GPA is female with average GPA of that. For comparison, the average GPA of male is that 81. So you're able to instruct and give more, more details and get to analyze your data. Okay, I believe that's something for you. We can do more and more, but of course, with time. And that way, we need to probably have a class or two. So let me stop sharing this to see if there are any. Okay, I was hoping to see some questions here. Okay. Any question? So if there is no question, John, you can take it over.
Okay, thank you very much, Abraham, and also everyone for creating time to attend this session. I believe it has been very insightful. And I believe everyone now knows that we all need these skills, regardless of the course that we are taking. Because now you can see that from the presentation from the speaker, we've seen that there are a lot of things that these AIs nowadays can do. And so only the person that is more efficient in using these tools is the ones that will remain relevant in the market, in the current market, job market. So it's good that we've been able now to see where everyone now lies, and it's now up to us. We are now given that challenge now to also just to reskill and also add to that one more skill so that we are able now to remain relevant. We are continuing this session also, these sessions also with Rongo University. We are also planning on some other things that we are planning with Rongo University, and we believe that these sessions and many to come will be able to help now students to now have those skills that will help them now in when they get to the job market, they become they gain the upper hand when it comes now to those job placements. So if there are no any other questions, maybe
yes.
Yes.
Maybe
yes.
will you allow for a contribution?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. My name is Daniel. I'm an alumni of the predictive analytics class. Now, if you'll allow me to contribute on bias when it comes to using AI, and especially in the realm of academics. I'm also a student in JKUAT, and I often use Microsoft Copilot to check on what I'm doing for my thesis. Now, I realized that when I'm signed in my account, my Microsoft account, and I ask the Copilot questions in regards to my thesis, the answers I get from Copilot are in agreement with what I have been thinking, because I have engaged it for several months with my thesis. But then when I sign out of my Microsoft account and I ask the same questions, now I realize that I even have errors that I've already incorporated in my thesis based on the answers I get from Copilot when I am signed into my Microsoft account. So the issue of bias is quite something to be highlighted when it comes to using AI. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Dan, for that contribution. Any other person before we invite Dr. Bill?
Yes.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, just a question, an observation. This, my observation is also touching on, it's just a worry, I'm not sure. So maybe we can, I can get clarification also. I've also been using DeepSeek, Copilot, and ChatGPT for prompting. My worry has been whether I'm getting worried that this large language learning models would be also researching on me. They are using my data based on the questions that I do ask to build other models. So as they customize my responses, I'm thinking that they could also be using my data. I don't know how true is this in your experience. Are they also using my data that I prompt to continue generating new solutions, new models? What is your observation? Thank you. Mr. Abraham.
Yeah.
And is it ethical? Is it ethical if my consent is not sought?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. So to answer you, it's yes, it continues to learn. I believe Dan gave us that example. So with one account, it's been able to learn and probably give a certain expected output, while the other one, it's giving some errors. So the LLP learns from the inputs that we give, and ultimately that data is stored somewhere. Now, the organizations that enables us to do this, I know they are not sleeping with that data. They are generating probably other models. Now, when it comes to the ethical use, one of the terms and conditions when you sign in is that they're able to use that. But then if you need it not to be used, then you need to upgrade. So it's more of, well, if you need some privacy, you need to pay for it. So that's where we are at the moment. But of course, we can always hope for better. Thank you.
Thank you. There is a question on side chat. There.
Jeff is asking, using AI is addictive. How can you advise?
Well, I can look at it from two angles. One is that what are you using AI to do? So is it something productive? If it's something productive and it's giving me money at the end of the day, well, let it be addictive. I would want something like that. But then if you're using it to probably generate something that is detrimental, it calls for some cautions. And here, basically just to have some self-discipline. So if you use AI to play games which do not, there's those games that add value, there are those games that again do not add value, they're detrimental, then you need to give some time. So probably can say I can do 30 minutes a day or something like that, and that's the maximum. Then you try to control yourself, but try as much as possible to be productive with AI as much as you can.
Maybe, thank you. Maybe just also that question from Jeff has reminded me my experience also with AI. I'm observing that this AI is making me lazy. Things that I used to take long time to go through and do, nowadays I just procrastinate. I'll do it in 1 minute. I don't know whether Mr. Abraham, you in experience, you've also experienced this. I view myself as becoming lazy because what I wanted to do, I can just wait and say, I'll do it. I'll do it. And when time comes, I'll do. If I want to write my letter, memo, I don't really take it seriously. I will just wait in the last minute, then I do it. So, in your view, is it affecting you the way it's affecting me in terms of procrastinating? I don't want to do things immediately I'm asked. I take my time because I know I'll do it very fast.
Thank you so much, Daktari. That's something that I experienced too. So as I indicated, something that I could do in a week. Well, I just need to do within some six hours, and that is it. So I basically have some free time. So I wouldn't call myself lazy, and I don't want you to call yourself lazy too, because it basically releases some more time, something that you could do it repeatedly or something like that, then you don't need to. So what I would encourage us, once we get some free time, then we use this free time to do other things. Okay, because my brain knew that this particular task that could take me entire day, I could do within hours. So I program myself and say within 1 hour, I'll be through with this particular task. But what we have in our minds then is we still have the entire day. So that way you would feel lazy. But then I believe it calls upon us to split our time optimally so that you are able to optimize that. Over and above that, when it comes to, for example, thinking, I know what you alluded to is something that is repetitive, but when it comes to thinking, let's continue thinking because we don't need to rely machines to think. That's something that is bestowed on us humans. We need to continue thinking and see how then we can improve our places of work, improve even our personal items or things that we do, something like that. So the innovation that comes with thinking, let's have that one. Then for the case of repetitive tasks, we need to optimize our time to see that this time that has been released, then we are able to do something constructive. I hope I've answered you, Dr.
Yeah, great. Nice experience.
So thank you very much, Dr. I don't know whether you have something else to add before we close the session.
Yes, definitely. I must take this opportunity to thank Abraham. I think this was a wonderful presentation, eye-opener, quite motivating and sharing of experience. Abraham, we want to say thank you so much for this. And on behalf of Rongo University, I think we are excited. I want to note that we had a number of students, undergraduate, diploma students were in. I saw some in the platform. Postgraduate students were also in. And I think this is just the beginning, and therefore this engagement with predictive analytics is just beginning. And as you've said, there are many opportunities. And these opportunities are for us to take up. And what I liked about your presentation also was the view that the way we go, if we go openware, then we are able to do much more than if we went closed. So we will continue engaging openly, and so that we venture into new opportunities and we share experiences. So I want to invite all postgraduate students, undergraduate students, and civil students from Rongo University to join hands. We could share their contacts so that we engage together, so that we get better engagement and partnership with predictive analytics now that they're experienced in the industry. Here in the university, we could be just beginning, and therefore we want to share and learn with you. So we are in partnership, and I think this was just awareness training. We are up to more activities. So join us, find us. I'm physically available in ICT office. I'm the head of ICT. Together with us is Mr. Oyo. I don't know whether Mr. Oyo is able to speak or is in a busy place. Mr. Oyo is together with us in this. He linked us up with the predictive analytics. Maybe I would give him a chance to say one if he's able to. Mr. Oyo, are you still in? Okay, he was a bit distant away. So we were to have our DVC ASA also on board, but because of the issues that are affecting the universities in Kenya. He sent his apologies, but he gave us his approval for such a meeting. So I request all students to contact us. Just send your details so that we have a joint group in our WhatsApp, and we shall give you our progress of activities. Otherwise, I want to thank the predictive analytic team. We are happy for this, and may God bless. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Daktari, and the Rongo team. Thank you for giving us the opportunity also to share some of the things that we've shared today. We really do appreciate the opportunity. As Predictive Analytics Lab, we are committed to continue sharing more and more with Rongo University and creating more partnerships that will enable the students to get more and more skills as they graduate to get into the job markets. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Also, we have maybe other people that joined, that saw the posts and they joined. Thank you very much for even creating time to listen to these. The best investment one can do is educating themselves or gaining a skill or knowledge. So thank you very much. Feel appreciated. And I will continue sharing more and more. Kindly do follow us on our social media platforms to get more on what we normally share. In Facebook, we are Predictive Analytics Lab. In Twitter, we are Predictive Analytics Lab, or X. We are in Instagram as Predictive Analytics Labs. Kindly follow us so that you can get more and more of the events that we normally hold here at Predictive Analytics Lab. Also, our website, predictiveanalyticslab.ai. You can follow us and get to know more about what we normally do. Thank you very much for being here, and we do appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.